Welcome to the Butt Fixer Podcast, brought to you by Shane Gentry and John Van Olden. Sit back, listen up, and listen good. You're going to hear it all right because we've already done it all wrong. We're going to help you meet your goals and fix your butts. Welcome to the Butt Fixer Podcast. Kansas City Road Dog.
Yeah. All right. We're doing it again. We are doing our first live podcast.
Wow.
In Kansas City.
Yeah.
We've never done one in person.
No, we're always all over the country.
Yeah.
Or out of the country.
Cool. Out of the country, right? We did them in Sweden. We did it in Portugal. Yep. So we are all in the same room for the first time.
International Butt Fixers.
Well, it's good to have you all in Kansas City.
Yes, it was awesome. And your dog gave Shane an awesome welcome by walking over to
I was going to say, speak for yourself.
Pissing up.
I don't think I'm having near as good a time as y'all.
There's the culprit.
He's exhausted. He lift your leg and dump the tank on a perfectly innocent leg.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. He thought there was something not innocent going on over
This
there.
he did. He might know something. He might know more than I do.
Yeah. So JP Carter, dog trainer.
Yeah.
Kansas City, Fountain City Dog Training. And we want to hear, how'd you get into doing this, man?
You talked me into it.
Well, yeah.
Well, both of you talked me into it. It's all your fault.
Let's hear the like, how did you get here? Yeah.
So about maybe a year before I met you, I had been in sales for decades, and I'd worked in all sorts of different industries and markets, and had been basically a sales trainer and a soft skills trainer and in sales and marketing for 3 decades.
And wait. But we want to hear, Shane didn't hear this last night. You got to hear what he sold. He sold everything.
I've sold everything, man. I started in Cub Scouts, right? I started selling back then in Cub Scouts. You would sell tickets to a show that no one went to, right?
Right.
It was like basically a donation, like 50 cents a ticket or something. And all the Cubs in Kansas City would sell, and based upon how well you did, you'd win prizes and stuff.
Right.
And so I was always one of the top salesmen as a Cub Scout in as a kid. And so like I got trips to the hockey teams,
right,
and won a bunch of tickets and stuff like that. But I won all sorts of things from that. So I just was something I did early. When we did festivals in Parkville, where I grew up, and I worked with the VFWs, I worked with Boy Scouts, I worked with other nonprofit organizations, and we did carnival stuff, the ring toss, all that kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
I sold hot dogs, walked around with a little case on my stomach, and
come on, man.
Like how much for the whole flat?
Change machine in my pocket, right. So I've been doing that kind of stuff really my whole life. And what had happened was I got bored with stuff pretty easily. So like every 18 months to 2 years, I would get kind of frustrated with whatever I was doing. And I always said, well, if I could find something else that paid me more and I could learn something from it, the experience, I really didn't care if I enjoyed it or, whatever like that. I just said, well, I'm going to go try it, see what I can learn from it, see if I can make some money. Mm-hmm. And so, I sold water beds. I sold all sorts of furniture. I sold cars. I sold advertising, just a little bit of everything.
Pitchman. Pitchman.
Yeah. Whatever. In fact, I worked for a company called The Pitch in Kansas City. There was a little alternative newspaper still around.
All right.
And I ran the classified department.
So you sold ads.
Sold ads.
Did you cold call? Did you have to go
I had a team of guys that cold called.
Right.
Businesses. When we sold everything at The Pitch. So like adult advertising, like everything, real estate. I mean, we did it with a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. But I always felt like the more interesting things I could do, diversity of experiences, the better off I would be in terms of my skill set. When I was influenced, when I went to college, my dad was an electrical engineer for Armco, one of the biggest companies in Kansas City at the time.
Right.
They made nails and, rocket ship steel and cars. They did everything. Right. And, but what happened was about the time I went to college, they started going under. Mm-hmm. And So, I mean, he lost his job. He lost really dignity. He lost his retirement. I mean, it just sort of vaporized on him.
Damn.
The nail guy.
The Armco Steel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's one of the biggest steel manufacturers in the United States. And it was tough. It was a challenge for him transitioning through that. And so I kind of had in the back of my mind that I was never going to get too comfortable or too reliant on any company. That at the end of the day, all I had was the money I was putting in the bank and the skill set for tomorrow. That was it. And so that formed like basically every decision I made, from a career standpoint. And so every 18 months to 2 years, I'll be like, okay, I'm done with this. What else can I learn? Where can I go make money? As long as they pay me more money, I'd go learn whatever it is they had to sell me, Right. And so I just felt like that was a good way to navigate my life. But then I got to a point where the kids were out of the house and I was less focused on, hey, buddy, I was less focused on really taking care of them, right? And having that money coming in. I was like, well, I'm not very happy. And so I started looking around and going, well, what is going to make me happy?
Right.
And so I made a list of about 16 things. It was like, what would the perfect job be, right? And I wrote this list down. And I thought, there's no way I'm ever going to find a job that does all this stuff. I thought, if I find something that gives me like half of this, I'm no matter what that job is, I'm going to do it.
So what kind of things are on the list? Flexibility?
So like I wanted to work indoors and outdoors. Like I didn't want to be like on a roof when it was really hot.
Right.
But I spent most of my life in an office, right? Or in a retail setting or something like that inside. So I wanted to be outside, but if it's bad weather, I want to be working inside too. I wanted a little mix, I wanted something that connected me to the community. I didn't want to feel like I was totally in isolation, but I wanted to be self-employed. I wanted to be in charge of my destiny, but I wanted some support. I didn't. So, a franchise sounded good, but I didn't want to spend that kind of money.
Yeah.
Right. Sure. So it was like, I had this list of things. And then what happened was I saw your ad. And so I reached out to you as a Craigslist. Right. And I was like, and my first thoughts were, okay, first of all, it's Craigslist, so I'm not interested. And the second of all is dog training. And I didn't really have a lot of respect for dog trainers, quite frankly. In my mind, a dog trainer was like a wannabe circus tamer, type lion tamer or something, right? Like, like I've never really wanted to like teach my dog to get a beer out of the refrigerator.
Right.
Like I can get my own beer.
Yeah.
Like that's not what I want, So I had this perception of what dog training was. And so, but I talked with you and you're like, no, that's not what we do here, man. And, we're into making dogs feel better about their environment, calming them down and just, helping them adjust. And I'm like, well, that I can get behind because that's what my experience with dogs had always been kind of like that.
Right.
So that's kind of, that was like, okay, I'm going to listen. Right. But I was still like, I don't think I'm going to dog trainer, right? And he's like, well, talk to Shane, talk to a couple other guys. And so I talked to a couple other trainers and I talked to you. And while I was talking to you, I don't know, I was maybe halfway through the conversation and it dawned on me as you're sharing stuff with me, I was like, I can't think of a single thing on that list that's not checked off.
Right.
And like this job gives me everything I want. And this list, it was general, but it was specific to, my income and how I was going to make. So I wanted to have something that I could afford to live my life.
Sure.
So it paid enough, but I didn't want to be, tied down to a situation I wasn't happy with. Right. So all these things, but anyway, the very last thing on that list is like, after I had the list, I went back to it. This was before we had a conversation. The very last thing on the list was, it would be great if it had something to do with dogs. Because I freaking love dogs. And that was like the only specific thing that wasn't like super general. Right?
Hey, you spoke it into existence.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. Yeah. And so as we're going about halfway through your conversation with you, I'm like, I can't get out of this. Because I promised myself, if I ever find the job that's got half the things, I'm going to do it.
And you got all the things.
And I got all the things. Right. And I'm like, how do I get out of this? Because I don't want to be a dog trainer. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a dog trainer.
Right.
Give it a shot.
So that was it.
Came to Delaware.
That's how I came to Delaware.
Did the training.
Training.
We did. It was him and Brian, guy from Texas. And they stayed in my house next door that I'm moving into someday. And I took him out on some lessons and stuff, dude. We went to the best.
We had great clients. Oh my gosh.
This client that I went to, it was when it's like, what was it? 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
10 in the morning. It's like a mid-century modern house in a nice neighborhood, but old neighborhood. 10 o'clock in the morning. Dude comes to the door.
Sunken dining room.
Yeah. Dude comes to the door in a suit. Like his wife's wearing like a sequin gown. They're like in their 70s, right? Yeah. The dog's name was Sir Louis, and the other dog was named Lady. It was from Almost Famous. Remember?
I remember the word lady, but I can't remember.
Lady something, man. And Sir Louis was like a little poodle terrier. Yeah. But the house, man, it like shag carpet. A giant like sectional that was an orange section, everything in like immaculate condition.
Mm-hmm.
Dioramas of like gold marble dioramas.
It was like original.
All Vegas. Right. It's all Vegas stuff. This dude was Wayne Newton.
Heavy furniture.
We're like, they're watching me do my thing. This dog was like one of those, like, 2 seconds. He wanted to attack everybody who came in the house, and he and I had a talk, and that was that.
Right.
And they're watching, they're being really cool, respectful. I'm doing my thing. And we got done with Wayne Newton, and we get in the car and we get to the end of the block, and all just kind of stopped and looked at each other. And we're like, holy fuck, that can't be real. Baby grand piano, gloss white baby grand piano in the sunken living room.
It was awesome.
Oh man.
That was an experience. We'll never forget that.
Yeah. So that was training, man. Yeah. We did, and then it was cold. We did. I had people coming into my barn and freezing our ass off. Worked with some people that I know out there, so they came through training. And then go ahead. So like how is now you? We don't want to talk too much about St. Louis, like on like in public, but I did tell Shane about that
experience,
right?
Yeah, that was.
Oh,
yeah. And you are covering Oklahoma City,
yeah,
and that's it right now, right?
Right now,
wait, isn't there another? Well, you got Topeka.
I got Topeka.
We've been in and out of Chicago. Give him Chicago a try, and he's been in and out of Denver.
And Denver's not doing much either right now.
Well, we talked about like. I think it was you yesterday. I was talking to you about that. I think that like what Shane is doing is covering the whole state, and you can get to everything personally versus how hard is it to get to Chicago? How hard is it? Oklahoma City is a stretch, right?
It's a stretch, for sure.
So I think that the way to do it is you don't have to, to say, it's super cool. Yeah, I'm in Oklahoma City. Yeah, I'm in Denver. Yeah, I'm in Chicago. But really, who cares if you have if you're getting 3 times the business and having to drive half the distance or a quarter of the distance. 100%. Yeah. So let's, when you did it, so you tell your wife, your family,
oh my gosh,
I'm going to be a dog trainer.
Yeah. And it, I made the decision kind of like say on that phone call, but I was like, I didn't want to say it out loud because it was, it was just so far out of my comfort level, so I was kind of moody and like, really not talking too much. And my wife, I think she was thinking I was having an affair or something. She's like, what's going on?
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, well, I think I'm going to be a dog trainer. And she's like, no, you're not. You hate dog trainers. You're not going to be a dog trainer.
You hate dog trainers? She knew you hated dog
trainers. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because, I wasn't quiet about that. But, so.
Just randomly, you're not.
No, I just
randomly didn't like dog trainers.
I don't want to dominate my dog. I don't want to. Right. I don't want to boss him around. I want him to be respectful of me, certainly. I want him to be happy, and I want him to listen to me when I tell him he needs to do something. But, I just, when I read a lot of the dog training books, like when I was in high school, I was reading dog training books, and I had neighbors and stuff that had well-trained dogs, stuff like that. And I grew up with well-trained dogs. I just didn't really agree with a lot of stuff that I read.
All right.
And
did you actually know a dog trainer, meet a dog trainer? So just you had this idea that dog trainers are shitbags.
So
that's P-legs to you.
Yeah.
Not shitbags.
So when I was
something that he has in common with Buddy.
Absolutely.
There we go.
We piss on dog trainers. That's right.
Dog's dog trainers.
Yeah, exactly.
Son of a bitch.
So, when I was in I guess about kindergarten. I was going to Montessori schools before first grade. There was a neighbor across the street that she bred, raised, and showed German Shepherd.
Okay.
And I was out there playing with my buddies, and she comes out one day, and this is back in the station wagon days, right? So she walks out of her garage, and she's got 2 lines of dogs following her to the station wagon. She walks out in the driveway, opens the tailgate, slaps the tailgate, doesn't say anything. Dogs in 2 at a time, jumping up, filling that out. She goes back into the garage to get whatever equipment or wherever she came in. She comes back out. I'm standing there at the tailgate. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, she's like, get out of here, little kid. I was over there like every day after that.
Okay.
Right? And so, I'm like feeding her dogs. I'm just, I spent hours and hours over there around her dogs. I had another family that I knew that had an also German Shepherd that was very well trained. And back then, kids walked back and forth to school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would go to school halftime, and so at lunch, I would come to a babysitter's to watch. And I'd walk, it was like 3 blocks, right? So I'd walk like a couple blocks, block and a half. And that German Shepherd was waiting for me on the corner, right? And then he would walk me home to his house the rest of the day, right? And so I grew up thinking that's how dogs work, right?
Oh, yeah.
I just thought they
Not
came
so
like
much.
that.
Yeah.
And so as I got older, and I'd walk around the neighborhood and people had dogs that weren't doing that. I'm like, what's wrong with your dog? Is he broke? What's happening here, right? And so I got in the habit of like hanging out with dogs, and I just sort of did it through osmosis, just kind of a natural sort of thing, figuring out what worked and what didn't. And so, I had been training dogs as a kid, really my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
We had a neighbor dog, an Irish setter, beautiful trained dog.
Mm-hmm.
The owner was an ex-military guy. You appreciate that.
All right.
And his name was Sir. The dog's name was Sir.
Like Sir Louis.
Exactly, like Sir Louis, but just
It all
Sir.
comes around.
Just Sir. And so Sir and I would, I go knock on his door and say, can Sir come out and play? So Sir and I'd go throughout the neighborhood. Of course, he wasn't leashed up or anything, right? We just hung out together. I'd call him, he came. I mean, we had that relationship. We'd go out for hikes, and I'd feed him peanut butter sandwiches. And, it was kind of our deal. And we would be like,
dogs exercise, but you might not be able to fit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He might be locked up.
We'd be like a mile or so from the house, and he would do that whistle. The owner would do that whistle, and I'd see Sir's head kind of pop up. I'm like, oh, Sir's about ready to go home. I go, bye, Sir. He was running as fast as he could home.
Old days.
Exactly.
Like Pal.
Exactly.
Or not Pal, like Pete in Little Rascals.
Exactly.
Pete. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, I had that experience with dogs at that level, and I'd seen really well trained dogs, and I'm down with all that. I just to me the most important thing was I just wanted to have a good relationship with my dog, and to me that was like the number one.
All right, but the dog, how did you just decide in your mind that dog trainers are like, I don't like them, to the point that your wife even knew that you don't like dog trainers.
So. I mean, I would read these books, and I'd read like a couple chapters, and I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. And then like chapter 3 or 4, I'd read something, I'd be like, that's just stupid. That's just idiotic. I'm never going to do that. Yeah. And I found that like almost with every book I read, and I just always felt like, and they were all kind of saying the same thing back then, So this is like the 70s.
I can't believe you got to chapter 4 of a dog training book.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I never got past the cover.
No, I'm like, come on.
I know what's in there.
So I don't know. I mean, I just felt like a lot of the stuff that was out there was just not quite. It was like it was almost right, but not completely,
Right.
And so I just kind of lacked respect for a lot of
it. All right. I mean,
it's actually smart as they offer though, because they want you to be like, it's almost right.
Right.
Yeah,
so that
you
you
write
gotta
the book.
pick up the phone and call them.
Yeah.
Or hire them, or buy
Or
a
something.
book, or wait till YouTube comes out.
I mean, I don't know if this is a wise thing to say for public consumption, but my dog training book would be 1 page. It would say, get your shit together and your dog won't be such an asshole. All right, come on, man, get it together.
They
Right.
do match our energies.
Yeah.
It's like you get to decide how your dog's going to act.
Be consistent.
Absolutely.
Do the same thing.
Absolutely.
Like, say it.
Absolutely.
Follow through. Yeah. So
absolutely.
that's why my kids are so awesome. Yeah.
Well, that's another kettle of fish there.
Yeah. And
Well, I was just curious with your sales background. I was going to see if maybe possibly you could sell
Oh my God!
something
Here it
like
comes.
this for your dog to pee on, which would be much more natural and aesthetic, pleasing to your environment.
Actually,
and it would so encourage them to aim in different.
I think it'd be a good accessory for you, man. You carry that around.
I'm gonna get a tattoo of it on my skin. I'm gonna get a tattoo of it. Like you missed it. It's right. The tree's right there. Sorry, that's gonna be a reoccurring theme.
Yeah,
for
no,
about the next
I appreciate
40 years.
I don't think I'll ever not hear that story from you.
That was too much, man.
It was sorry.
That was
Okay.
a little
I didn't mean
over
that shit
the
there.
top there.
That was, but it was fucking funny as shit.
Well, so
Holy crap.
in the, I mean, Shane, this is your question. You should read. You've got to read the commercial.
Oh yeah, we'll get
Yeah,
that.
but the Shane always asks, okay, it's the Butt Fixer, like
Yeah.
Butt Fixer podcast.
Yeah.
So what are the butts that you're like, yeah, I want to be a dog trainer, but I hate
But
dog
I think
trainers.
they're dumbasses. But I think they're dumbasses.
Yeah, dog
Exactly.
trainers.
Now I are one.
Yeah. multi markets. Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
All
So,
right.
but that really is really my big bet. I mean, I reached a career point where I was very unhappy in terms of what I was doing. I was doing it just for money, and it was time to do something else. And so I told you I made that list. But what I did then, as soon as I made that list, I quit my job.
Right.
I quit my job.
Oh, really?
And then, yeah.
Without another job.
Without another job.
Oh, man.
and then what I did, because I was like, I wasn't happy there. So why did I spend another day there? Right. So,
Well, but
so here's what
we
I
gotta
did. Here's what I did. I'm like, I still had to have money coming in. Right. So I went and I told you I sold insurance.
Yeah.
So I went and got licensed to sell insurance, and I started selling insurance, and I hated it from day one, and I knew I'd hate it, but I was like, I'm going to do this until I find something I like.
Right.
And so that was about a year before I met you, and I spent like a year looking for things. And so, when it finally came and, it unveiled itself in front of me, I was thrilled that I was going to get out of the insurance business, but it wasn't, that decision was made before, a year before I met you.
Wow. All right.
So that's just how it happened.
It just worked out. And so how is it what you expected? Is it?
Oh my God.
Are you a dumbass?
Yeah. Did you turn
Sometimes.
Did you turn into a dumbass?
Sometimes.
Do you like yourself?
No. Man, this has been a dream come true.
It really is.
It's unbelievable.
Awesome.
It's just everything about this job is just the best.
It is. I agree with you.
It's absolutely the best. And I every year, I make a plan of how I'm going to make this better. And last couple of years, of course, my health has been kind of an issue. But other than that, it's been really smooth sailing.
Awesome.
It really has been. And I know that
Smooth
the next
sailing.
4 or 5 years are going to get better and better.
Awesome.
100%.
Awesome.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to pay the bills.
Yep.
All right, so hailed as the local brand with a national following and now celebrating more than 2 decades in business, North Carolina-based Kakalaki brand is the iconic Southern lifestyle brand that specializes in Kakalaki-branded sauces, snack nuts, beverages, food service and menu items, apparel, outdoor sporting goods, sporting events, and more. The company that also makes and distributes Kakalaki Cheerwine sweet sauce, as well as the Carolina Tar Heels barbecue sauce, which is an officially licensed collegiate product. Kakalaki is a family-owned and operated company in Pittsboro, North Carolina. And if you are listening to this podcast and so need to up your grill game with some killer sauce and snacks while you're grilling, go to the Butt Fixer, or put in Butt Fixer 15 at checkout. So kakalaki.com, get your order in, and Butt Fixer 15 at checkout to save 15% off of your purchase.
And JP gets a gift bag or whatever.
All
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Some
yeah.
Kakalaki.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
in the-
Yeah,
in
I
the
was
truck?
so stupid I didn't bring it with me. I'm going to mail
Yeah,
it to you
you
when
could
I get home.
save yourself some
I
choices.
will definitely put it to use.
And
I'll give you a
deliver.
full report.
There you go.
Awesome.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Well, you're in a barbecue town for sure,
Yeah,
man. So,
yeah.
for sure. You could expose Kansas City to Kakalaki.
There you go.
Bring it out here.
Definitely do that.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, that's one.
Yeah,
down,
that's
right?
one down.
What do we
Let's
do?
it.
Do we pause? Do we? How the hell? Do we do
We'll
that?
just let's just do them
All right.
separate.
Okay.
the way we got.
Thanks, JP.
Yeah, no
we'll
problem.
get you on there, man.
right.
Thanks a lot.
Bye
Yep.
bye, PP.
Thank you for listening to this edition of the Butt Fixer Podcast. Stay tuned for more guests, more stories, and more butt fixes. Make sure you click, like, subscribe, and follow at all of the places where you stream podcasts.